Hi everyone, my name is Alex Serro. I am the creator of the Validating channel. If you remember, my goal in life is to promote positivity and to spread joy as much as I can through YouTube or through Instagram Reels or any kind of post that I make. As you know, if you've been with me for a while, the last post that I made was back in April of this year, and now it's almost December of the same year. And I wanted to come on here to let you know that I'm not giving up, I'm not quitting, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to create more podcast episodes by the end of the year is my goal so that I can do season 4 in 2024. You might be asking yourself why it's been so long since my last post on this YouTube channel, and lucky for you guys, I have a page full of notes of why I've been so busy lately. I want to clarify before I begin that these aren't complaints, they're not excuses, they're just things that happened throughout this year that I'm incredibly grateful for, but that also prohibited me from filming or recording or editing, anything like that. So this is just for me to look back on and for anyone else that's interested of what I was up to for these past several months when I wasn't posting. And before I get any further, I would like to shout out my Instagram because that I have been keeping up with every week for this entire year. Knock on wood, I keep going for the last couple of weeks. I have been creating one reel with creative-ish ideas. Some are trends that are going around, some are just brand new to me. They're all stuff that are aimed to make you smile and to make you happier in your day. So the last time you saw me was in April because I uploaded in April, but technically that was in February for me. It just took me forever to update and upload it because right after my Vegas trip, again, linked right here if you haven't seen it yet, you can go watch it. But that trip was amazing and I talked about it in that video. But what happened right after I got back was I got very sick with COVID, and that was my first time having COVID, and I was obviously going to take it very seriously and make sure that I was taking care of myself, but it was also one of those sicknesses, if you've ever had it, you literally cannot function. Like, I've never had anything like that where I was down and I was just in bed or on my couch, not really eating, drinking, yes, but it was just like I was very much half of who I usually am. And it was very hard for me to say that I had to take sick days because I love my job. I love teaching my second and third graders. But at the same time, I just could not even get out of bed because I was just so sick and tired of everything that was going on in my head, like the congestion, everything that I was feeling was just not good. So I had to take the time to rest and recover. Once I recovered from COVID-19 and I wasn't contagious or I wasn't feeling yucky, I was able to go skiing with my aunt, uncle, my sister, and her boyfriend. We all went up to a ski mountain and did some skiing, which was the first time I went skiing in several years. So I was very impressed with myself that I was able to bounce back and get back into it, and that was really fun. I went bowling with a couple of my colleagues, which I really enjoyed because I love bowling and I love my colleagues, so it was a great night overall. I also took the opportunity to go to some plays and musicals that I was nearby. I love to support theater because I am a theater person. I'll get more into that later. In April, I started to tour for apartments. If you remember back in 2023, I did move to a town by myself in my own apartment that I was so grateful for. And then this coming year, in 2024, my sister wanted to move in with me. I didn't have the room for her in my current place, so we started touring places in April of this year to see what works, what doesn't, what's affordable, what's not, all those things that we had to start. That was back in April, we started looking and applying to places. We also started Tech Week for the first musical that I worked on this year. I did work on 3, and I'll talk about each of them specifically. But the fact that I did the first one of my adult career, I did it in college, but the community theater world was still new to me back in April. So I was a little bit nervous about Tech Week because we worked so hard, so many different elements were coming together. But then Tech Week, if you're familiar, is when the lights and the sounds and everything else that you don't really think about come together. The set is another one. There's so many different aspects to theater that have to just kind of smush into one week. And there's bumps along the way, to say the least, but I am super proud of the cast for being flexible and patient. I'm proud of my director for sticking it out. She worked so hard. She went home and after a long day of Tech Week, she would still work on the slides. Everything that we needed to get done, she was motivated to work on. And I just will always appreciate that. I still keep in touch with her now. She was just a very motivated person that I respected and looked up to. I loved everyone in that company, the cast, the crew, everyone in between was just so positive and amazing to work with. And I look on that experience with nothing but pride and joy and excitement because now it's led to so many more opportunities that I'll get to in a minute. We had a great performance weekend. We had lots of big audiences with lots of expression and laughter and just applause that we were really aiming for. I was also really excited to show off kind of what I was doing in my world of stage management. I didn't even say earlier, I'm a stage manager, which means I help out so much of the technical aspects, but also the acting aspects, everything that kind of goes behind the scenes that you don't necessarily think about is falls on me, and I kind of orchestrate how things go. And I always like to mention, not to brag, but the show wouldn't start without the stage manager. So I'm the one that says, okay, lights go down, lights come up, curtain goes up, whatever it is. I get to call the show, if you will. And it's very exciting for me. A little bit nerve-wracking, but I've grown to really enjoy it, and it's one of my favorite things to do in this world, other than teaching, of course. And then 2 short days later, I jumped into another production. It's the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, if anyone knows that show. One of my all-time favorites that I actually interviewed for as the director originally, but then the president of the whole company sat down with me and kind of said, you need more experience, like, well, I'll be happy to work with you in the future, whatever that may be. So I sprinkled in his ear, like, if you need a stage manager for the show, please let me know, because I would be more than happy, even happier, honestly, to do stage management than directing at that point, because I love stage management. I love the show. I just want to be involved. And thankfully, 2 weeks later, they said, yep, you're going to interview with the director. On the spot, I got the job because he just connected with me right away, and I connected with him. We were very similar minded, and one thing that I loved that he said was that he wants it to be collaborative, something that I don't hear that often, because a lot of directors say, like, this is my vision, this is my show, but he made it very clear that he wants the stage manager, myself, to be included in the creative process. And I was able to tell him, like, yeah, I'm for that, definitely, and I love the show. So the fact that we connected right away shows that he trusted me, but also was excited like me and wanted to be the best show in the world. So we started that very soon after Beauty and the Beast. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but I did Beauty and the Beast in May, and then in the end of May, I started Spelling Bee. So it was like one after the other, but that's kind of what I love. In June, I wrapped up my second year of teaching. Again, it was a great year, lots of learning experiences for sure. I was very thankful for all the opportunities I got and all the students that I met. It was very cute seeing them kind of gain a little bit of confidence with their abilities academically, but also just their social interactions really increased as the year went on. I met with my principal and vice principal at the end of the year, though, and did ask them if I could maybe not co-teach, just because on paper it's a great idea, and I've talked about it before with a lot of my friends that I wish it worked for the young kids, and sometimes it does if you get the right sort of students or the sort of relationship that you can form with co-teaching. And no offense to the teachers I was working with, it was just that we needed something different, especially with the growing need of students that have IEPs, aka diverse learners. So there was something that needed to change, and I offered the idea of me floating between second and third grade, and thankfully they liked that idea. So they actually told me before the year even ended that the following year, this year, would be a year where I was floating between grades, and I could pick the students from different classrooms and make groups based on like their skill level, instead of based on their convenience and the fact that they were in my class. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone else, but essentially I asked for something to change, and my principal and vice principal actually accepted it, and I think it was for the best, and I'll talk more about that in September. But I was very pleased to hear that I was being heard and appreciated. Although I was wrapping up the school year, I was also trying to pack my apartment because, like I said earlier, all the touring and stuff that I did in April and May paid off because I found a nice place with my sister to move into in a different town that's a little bit further away from school, so my commute is more, but the rent has decreased, and because I split with my sister, I've been saving a lot of money, which is amazing, and I'm very grateful for that. In July, we celebrated the 4th of July, naturally, with my extended family. We always play Spoons, the card game. I don't know when it started, but it's now a tradition that I love. We eat some good food. The following weekend, we go up to Maine to visit my other side of the family, and my uncle has a lake house that we go to visit, and that's been a lot of fun to spend time up there and just kind of unwind from the busy school year I had and go up there with all the family that I love so much. But after the 4th of July, we had 2 weeks until opening night of my other musical, Spelling Bee, so I didn't have that much relaxation time before jumping into the stress of Tech Week, as I was talking about. This Tech Week went slightly better, I would say, and again, Beauty and the Beast didn't go poorly, it was just that it was a lot of stress at once, and this one seemed not as stressful because the cast was smaller, the set was not as large, so there was just a lot of pieces that kind of fell naturally more than forced or stressfully. So I was very pleased about that. It also helped that I wasn't balancing teaching because I was teaching summer school, yes, but it wasn't strenuous as a school year teacher would be. In August, I went down to Florida to visit my parents who live down there now, and we got to go to Disney World, which is always fun. My two brothers and my sister were all there at the same time, which is one of my favorite things, and we just got to relax, and I actually caught up on some reading. If you know me at all, I love to read, but I just never have the energy to do it when I'm in the middle of a school year. So thankfully, when I had nothing else going on in the summer, I got out my book and I was able to read like 400 pages in a week, and it was amazing. In September, I started my third year of teaching, which is crazy to me that I've started third year. Like, I still feel like a young student in my mind. Like, I've never really accepted that I'm a full-time teacher, even though I've been doing it for 3 years now. It's just ever-growingly confusing and unclear. Even though I'm getting more comfortable and like feel like I belong as a teacher, it still perplexes me how the years go by so fast, you know? Side note about this year specifically, I tried to reach out to my principal and vice principal, telling them how much I love to greet students at the door the first thing in the morning, because I didn't want to be a crosswalk person. Like, there's duties that every single teacher has to do, and some teachers get a duty to be at the crosswalk and hold up the stop sign, which to me seemed very stressful and I didn't want to do it. And of course get what I get, but a crosswalk. And at first I was like, oh no, this is gonna be so hard. Like, how do I time it? How do I do this? I have to talk to so many parents and students. But then within like 2 weeks maybe, I was like, oh, I like this. Like, it's just so funny that I didn't really want to do it at first, but then within like a couple of days, like, I felt more comfortable than I thought I would. And the connections that I made with students that I typically wouldn't see is so cool. And I love the parents that like are eager to see me. And then there's a day that I had to be out, and then everyone was like, wait, but where were you? Like, the kid missed you so much. Like, things like that made me really appreciate the role that I got, even if I didn't want it at first, which was funny. I also, side note, on September, I went to my first like actual wedding as an adult, which was funny. My friend Jenna, who was on my podcast, went with me to Abby, who was also on the podcast, her wedding in September, and Jenna was a really good friend to go with me because I didn't want to go alone. So thankfully, Abby was flexible in letting me bring a friend, and then Jenna was being that flexible friend to go with me, even though she didn't really know anyone like I didn't know anyone. So that was a fun experience. Abby, if you're watching this, you looked beautiful, and I loved it. The going and supporting you and Drew was so fun, and it's a highlight of my year for sure. In October, I started to work on my third musical of the year. It's called The Drowsy Chaperone. It was with the same company as Spelling Bee, but a different director. So just getting used to that different style was fun. I've been getting used to the new area that I've been living in and exploring a little bit more with my sister, seeing what's around. I've also been now included with the new company called Black Dog Theater, which is just starting out this year and just started out with the director of Spelling Bee. And he gathered a bunch of us and said, like, I want to do this. How can we make this happen? So we all put our brains together and are creating this beautiful thing. We've already raised almost $4,000 due to our Kickstarter that we're trying to get together. And our first show is in a couple of weeks. It's called It's a Wonderful Life radio play. And I'm putting the ticket link and the Instagram in the bio. So if you are watching this and are interested, you can check it out because we're trying to get our fan base to grow and grow and grow. I also went to a fun Halloween party with some of my new friends. It's crazy because I haven't really had like a solid friend group as an adult yet. And to be fair, I never really had one in college either. Like, I have a best friend, and you know who you are, best friend. But like, I've never had a true like group, if that makes sense. And I didn't think I was gonna find one in adult life. I just thought it was like, oh, well, I'll be friends with the people I work with, but like, I'm never gonna really hang out with them willingly, if that makes sense, especially because I'm introverted like to the core. So it's a weird balance. But anyway, so when I got invited to this Halloween party, I was like on the fence, like, should I go, should I not? And I think that truly did make a huge difference this year because it made me feel more comfortable with the people, and they saw me on a different side because they only saw me in that stage manager role, and now they saw me kind of like as a person a little bit more. So it was I'm very thankful that I went and that I've been included in this. I'm going to call them weird because I'm weird too, and I'm not saying it as a negative thing, but this weird group of people that truly feel like family, and I don't have to be anyone else but myself, is just a great feeling. And I even showed them magic, and I think they liked it more than they didn't, so that was also very exciting. And in November, this month right now, I went to Ohio to visit my friend Corinne, and she and her boyfriend Bishop, or I should say fiance Bishop, were so gracious and such good hosts. I had a great time. We visited this awesome elephant trek thing that I'm wearing right now that was so incredible because I love elephants, if you know, and just watching the elephants go about their day, and they were not like like they weren't in an enclosure or anything like that. It was this big open space, and they truly care about the elephants as animals and like beings instead of just these things that they don't care about. So they truly care about their animals and take care of them, which is so big for me. So that was awesome. I got to see their new lifestyle out there, which was so cool, and I'm very thankful for both of them. I had a great time out there. And we also had our performance weekend for the Drowsy Chaperone. That went super well too. I experienced my first 2-show day in a while. That was a very tiring day, but the following day was also very long, so that whole weekend was quite exhausting, but in the best way possible because I loved every minute of it. And then luckily it was a short week at school because Thanksgiving was this past week, so I feel like I was super tired, and I still am kind of recovering because it was a week ago, but it was just like the best kind of tired, if that makes sense, where it felt very productive, and I was very proud of the product that we created all together, which was so fun. Okay, that was, again, a lot longer than I expected. I have to now edit it down. I'm hoping not too long, we'll see. I never know with these. I always try to keep them concise, and then I just blab forever. But again, it's more for myself, just to remind me of like, what did I do in 24? Because I don't really always remember. So it's good to look back on, and whoever is interested can look at it too. The big announcement I wanted to make before I log off for today is that hopefully, if all goes according to plan, I should have podcast episodes coming out this year, 2024, for season 4. That's the goal. I'm going to see if I can get there. I've already started drafting up plans, and I have people that are interested and that have reminded me that they're interested. So I'm very, very hopeful. It's just that, like always, life gets in the way. But I'm hoping I can get at least 1 episode, or maybe 2. 4 is the goal. We're going to see what life takes us. And I don't know if you've noticed, but my light is starting to decrease because the sun is setting at any moment. So I'm going to go now. But again, we'll see me again. If not with a podcast guest, you'll just see me talking to the camera again about who knows what. But thank you for watching, whoever you are. I hope you stay validating, whatever that means to you. And thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.